Hello, I'm Louise Smith, the Queen of Business Organisation, and today I've got guest Bree Fox about talking about empowering yourself to reconnect with your mind, body, and soul. So, Bree, hello, welcome on.
Hi.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Bree Fox and I am a lifestyle coach. I help people to, like say, get back in alignment. I focus on mindset, their movement, and their organization because that helps us to reconnect and have time to do all
Mhm.
the other things that we look at. So yeah, that's who I am and that's kind of what I do.
And I love that, especially the word organisation.
Yeah, I thought that might prick up your ears a little bit. Yeah.
It always does. And I agree because it does make a difference. Like I'm working on my health at the minute and I do that. It's working really well because I'm organized in order to
Yeah.
do it. So I've tackled the way I run my business with my health and life. And it does help your lifestyle, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. Yeah. And if you don't have those things in place, it makes it really hard. I don't know about you, but just on the organization bit, people say, "Oh, I'm planning," but sometimes people lack the preparation for the plan.
Yes.
That's one of the big things for me. Like, well, I know what my plan is, yeah, but have you prepared for your plan? So like when it
Mm,
comes to say fitness or health or things like that, I stress the importance of movement because I find a lot of women particularly hear the word fitness and they kind of get taken back to the horrible PE days, and it kind of instills this bit of fear of God into them, and they don't
yeah.
like the word fitness, or they think it's all about six packs and muscles, and those things I can totally do as a qualified PT. But for me, my my the importance that I have stresses on movement for longevity. So when you're older, you know you can go to the toilet unaided, you can make yourself dinner by
Yeah.
reaching for that tin of beans out the cupboard or whatever. So for me, it's about, when the movement comes in and they want to do more, right? So you want to work out in a morning or get your gym kit out the night before, prepare for that.
Yeah.
Then you can't fail your plan. It's all good and well having a plan, but if you're not preparing for it, you are going to struggle with your health, your wealth, and your lifestyle in general.
It's true. It does make a massive difference, doesn't it? I've recognized that. So one of the big things we were just talking about sleep before we came on, didn't we? And
Yeah.
like for me, I have worked on getting more sleep, going to bed early because I love waking up early and talking about health. And I've got support around my health, and it's like you need to increase your sleep. And I'm like, don't want to stay in bed longer in the morning. So that for me was a deal breaker. So I go to bed earlier.
Yeah,
And then that's my way of preparing to do exercise in the morning because
absolutely.
then I can jump straight up, do it, it's done, it's out of the way. So when
Exactly.
you, I'm assuming you work with women typically. And
Typically, yeah.
yeah, and when you work with your clients, what do you find are like the most common challenges for them when it comes to reconnecting with their mind, body, and soul, and that maybe they're feeling a bit out of sync? What kind of challenges or
A
things
lot
do
of
you find
it
come up?
a lot of it is they feel like they don't have the time. It's like, I ain't got time to
Yeah,
do this, or I'm always busy. Like, I don't know when I'm gonna fit this in. So one of the things that I work on is one of my big things is trying to find guilt-free me time. Because as well as a mom, if you do have any time, you feel like often you should be doing something else, or if you're not doing this and you should be doing that, or you sat down and you're like, oh, I feel like I've forgotten something, because we're so used to being on the go. It's like,
yeah,
if we are sat having a minute, a lot of women do genuinely feel guilty for it. Like, oh, and I'm a big advocate of trying to get rid of mum guilt, mum shame, parent guilt, and parent shame, not just mum, but like I say, typically I work with women. So and letting them understand that actually, quite often, the mum is the pillar of the family. And if the mum's health isn't right, if the mum's not in alignment with herself, there's a ripple effect through the whole
yeah,
family. If the mum's particularly stressed and snappy one morning, they might fall out with their partner or upset their children, and then they feel guilty because they've snapped at the child or whatever. But it's because there's been a build up, and often women don't recognize just quite how stressed or burnt out or run down they are until something's switched. But actually, and it's not just one thing, it's 9 times out of 10 a compound effect of a series of events. Or like at this time of year, if you're a parent of any child in a primary school, you will know literally every day there's something else that needs to happen, or there's
yeah,
something
there
else
is.
coming up, or and it's really overwhelming, on top of just trying to get the kids to school in general, thinking about your own health and well-being. If you're a woman aged between 35 and 45, maybe up to 50, there's a lot of changes going off hormonally, physically. Your jobs might be changing, your children are growing up, so they don't need you in certain ways. It's a very transformative age, that I find.
Yeah.
And it's trying to understand about having time for yourself and not feeling guilty about it, and understanding that it is absolutely a priority without feeling like you're letting other people down and that your business is struggling, or that you are, you know, not performing as a mum or a partner,
Yeah.
whatever it is that, you know, your lifestyle set up to be.
I agree with that. And in my household, I am the one that I do practice that. But I actually had this conversation with my husband, because with his health challenges, I'm like, he feels guilty that because he's in pain. Like yesterday, for example, he had one of his what I call off days, where he literally, I kind of have to say, you need to go lay in bed, because he
Yeah.
can't get up, he's falling asleep, he can't stay awake, because it knocks him out, or he'll be the opposite, he's violently sick.
Yeah, his
So he
condition's
can't,
kind of flared up.
yeah, and he can't function. And if you can't function like that, you've got to put yourself first to look after it. And he sees it as, like, in that moment, he's letting everybody else down because he can't wash the pots, clean the house, cook the stuff that he does at home.
Yeah.
That typically the female, it's different these days, isn't it? But typically the female does. And it really irritates him because that's his contribution. But I'm so chill now. It used to stress me out. And I'm just like, go to bed, get the rest that you
But you
need.
know the benefit that comes from
Yeah,
him going to get the rest, because then he can
exactly.
show up when he you know, the
Well,
next
this
day
is
or
the
whatever.
thing. What actually happened yesterday is, obviously I've been working, taken over, I've done the school run myself, done the tea, washed the pots, and the pots were probably piled higher than they would be if he'd been there, because he could do it. But I'm a big girl, I can do it. And then but what actually happened was the heat, and I've been drinking a lot of water, but the heat must have got to me, and I got a headache from being, like, doing all the things yesterday. But the beauty is, because he then rested, he could take over in the evening, and I could go get an early nap. And I feel great this morning.
And
And it
that's what
just
it's
shows
about.
how,
It's about the
yeah,
compromise and the
yeah, how
being
we
a
both looked
partnership.
after ourselves to look after each
Yeah.
other and the kids we are a good team. And I wish more people would adapt that and put
Yeah.
themselves first to then look after others as well.
Absolutely. And I think on the flip side of that as well, as a single parent, you know,
Yeah.
you don't always have that other person to rely on. So sometimes things do need to be left. You know, like if you've not been there, it is still in your husband's favor to leave those parts, go and rest and recover, because then you're in a better position to tackle it the next day. And sometimes we do have to make those adjustments, and this is where the guilt kind of comes in. You know, you might want things a certain way, or you feel like things have got to be a certain way. You know, you've got to get up at 5 o'clock to work out and all this kind of stuff. You know, there's a lot of societal pressure on just people in general, whether it's
Mm.
mums, single mums, partners, there's a lot. And it's really kind of looking at what serves you and what is aligned with you. Like, what is it that you want? And do you want that because it is a desire of yours? Or is it something that you've heard and you think you should be doing? And it's really trying to get to grips with yourself. And a lot of women have kind of bumbled through doing things without really taking stock of why they've done that, or why. I talk a lot about habits and habit formation. It's something I'm really
Yeah.
passionate about. And I've done previously, I've done like 5-day challenges on like understanding what habits are, where they come from. You know, why do you fold the towels a certain way? Why do you do certain things? Like, you know, and we all have these little kind of like idiosyncrasies where we want things to be a certain way. And does it really need to be that way? Do we really need to have those things in our life? Do they really benefit our lives, or are they adding more pressure
Yeah.
to our lives? And it's kind of pulling back the curtain, tearing away the layers, and going, what do I want? And does this work for me? Does
Yeah.
it benefit my life? You know, we were just talking about weekend networking a minute ago, and I can't attend weekend networking because my daughter is a footballer and we are very stacked with football on a weekend. So I know trying to make myself make arrangements to get there is going to be very difficult for me. You know,
Mm.
I am a single parent and I do co-parent. So there might be the odd weekend I could turn up if it manages to fall, but I'm not going to put that pressure on myself. Would I like to do it? Yes. But do I
It's
need
so
to?
important.
No.
Yeah.
And trust in yourself as well. You know, there's a lot of times where I'll openly admit I'm a recovering people pleaser. You know, I'm a late ADHD diagnosed female with a lot of trauma to kind of unpack. So I get it. I understand we feel like we need to say yes to things, or if we're saying no, we're letting people down. When actually, the way I've helped myself to benefit from this is flipped it on its head and gone, I'm not letting them down by saying no. I'm letting myself down by saying yes.
That's so true.
I'm having to give up something or sacrifice something, whether it's my sleep, whether it's my time, my energy, my finances, whatever it may be. I need to go, right, is me saying yes making me suffer elsewhere? If so,
Mm.
then it's a no. Do you know what I mean? Because all I'm doing is abandoning my own needs by agreeing to
Yeah.
somebody else's needs.
I agree with that, and I've got my own situation that's similar. So like your networking, mine was evening. So I used to do lots, either Zoom onlines, masterclasses straight, because I wanted to be an expert. I wanted to build my audience, all of the things that we do because we're told we should do it. And yeah, it works, it's great, but a lot of them were on evenings, and every time I did it, even if something weren't going to happen, instantly my heart would be racing. I'd be getting stressed, sweaty palms,
Yeah.
really anxious because of my son possibly like interrupting, because the send child, like, he will not understand that it's a bit different now because I have my office, but before I had this dedicated space, if I'm in the house and he's at home, he doesn't connect the dots of me working.
What's not?
So
No.
he would just interrupt. Like the other two, they're fine. Like the 5-year-old, she gets it. But him, there's no barrier there for him. So I tried building a boundary. It didn't really work. Oh, he'd have like a night terror when I'm in the middle of Zoom. So I'd be like having to shout my husband and then obviously mute myself. And it was just so stressful. So actually, I just took away that stress. I just stopped doing it. Like, it doesn't serve me. I can find other networking groups that are through the day. I can
Yeah.
find, I can find other ways to do it. There's always opportunities to change things, isn't there? I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm talking business here, but it doesn't just have to be. It's other
No, but
things
in
in life,
business as
isn't it?
well,
Yeah,
I used to do things as well. And like you say, I think there is an element if you're starting a business or you're new in your business, and like you say, you're trying to grow, you're trying to get visible. There is certain sacrifices we do need to make sometimes, or it is maybe doing an evening class or whatever.
yeah,
But like you say, if it's bringing you more stress and then you're not actually able to show up in the way that you want to, it kind of becomes counterproductive. You know,
that's it.
if you are, for example, like you say with your child who's Sen, you know, if you're establishing your audience know that, they're not going to be bothered by it because they
That's
understand how
actually true.
difficult it
To be
is.
fair, people have been amazing.
And I think
I
that's
think
where
I was more
sometimes,
stressed.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
more what we internalize. And this is where like the mum guilt and the kind of
yeah,
what we internalize in our mindset is, we think, oh, people aren't going to want that. I've got dogs, I'm like on edge a bit about like, are they going to start barking because the door's open?
yeah,
Nice. And if they hear something, the border collies, but then like people who know me, they know I've got dogs. And if there's an odd interruption, it's not the end of the world. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. It's just
It's
life, isn't it?
it's
And
just
I
life,
think
and people like seeing,
yeah,
I don't want to say
do.
rawness of it because it makes it sound like you've pulled it back, but like the natural side of life. We do have dogs, kids, animals, partners. Somebody could knock at the door right now and I'm not expecting somebody. Life happens, and people
Yeah,
like to see the realness of other people, to know that it's not just them. And this is one of the things I do. Like, I try and be really vulnerable, and I try and, with my clients, express maybe some difficulties I've had and the way that I've overcome them. Or, I had a bit of a difficult moment yesterday and I had to really fight hard to communicate well and not let my emotional side show up because I was
yeah,
really frustrated about something. So every day is, it's different, and people like to know that. But, the outcome yesterday for me was really beneficial. It was very unexpected, actually. I was a bit like, oh, wow, I've got a really good response from this message. It shocked me a little
yeah,
bit. But then that moment of, you've done that,
yes,
I don't feel bad. I've managed to stand up for myself. I've stayed in my own alignment. I've not abandoned my own boundaries as a result, and actually the end result ended up being quite beneficial to everybody. So,
I
but
love
it is
that.
hard to kind of do that, and it is a practice. It's not something you do once and it's there that you can do it, because other people respond in different ways. As an overthinker, I assume that I'm going to get backlash. Like I say, I got a really good
Yeah, you do, yeah.
yesterday. And actually, and the initial response was like, oh no, I understand that and I apologize. And I was like, wow, okay, this is a bit strange feeling. But it is a practice, and that comes from either going to therapy or having a coach and a mentor about certain things, and sitting down with yourself and doing the messy work and seeing what aligns with you and what sits well within your body, because the body does store trauma and responses. And like you say, if you're stressed out, you'll get a headache. If you
Yeah,
sometimes you can get more hungry when you're stressed because your mind's working extra, and then you can be starving, then you might not eat very well, and then your body's not nourished properly. And it's all these things, do you know what I mean, to kind of break down and figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning might not work for people because it can be quite stress
mm.
inducing getting up early, and if
I
it doesn't,
say this, yeah, because I
and if it
think people
doesn't suit
go
you, don't
actually
do
watch
it.
me and go, "How do you do it, Dani?" And I actually tell the story of when my son child, actually, funnily enough, same child, he didn't sleep through until last year, and
Yeah.
so I was trying to follow a routine of getting up at 6 in the morning 3 years ago, and it was breaking me
It's
because I wasn't
unachievable,
getting
but
the
then
sleep.
The
Yeah,
narrative in your head is, I can't do it, I don't follow through on things, and then this is where the negative mindset comes in, and then you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. So one of the things I concentrate on is, what can you actually do?
yeah,
6 o'clock might not be it. You might be best off doing it later on after the school run. Do it with your
exactly.
kids. I run online fitness classes before, and my kids will come down in the morning sometimes and they'll join in with me. And
Yeah,
I always say, you can do it in your PJs, you can do it with the video off, you can do it with your kids, like, be the role model. And this is one of the things that I'm big about, like the things we do for ourselves, the way we heal ourselves, the way we
mm,
regulate. I mean, you'll know with the send child, 'cause
definitely.
I've got send children too. Co-regulation is massive, but you've got to learn to regulate yourself before you can learn to regulate other people. And
That's
being able to do that with your child, it sets a really good example. And that's the same when it comes to health. If you are moving your body in front of your children, they are not going to see it as a punishment. They're going to see it as something fun. It's that whole saying, monkey see, monkey do. Our kids
yeah,
pick up on us way more than we realize. So we want to make sure that we're giving the best we can. Like, me setting up my own business was so that I was present for my children. So like now, I will always switch off at 3 o'clock, or just pause, come out of my little cubby hole at 3 o'clock, and I will be in the living room for them between 3 and 1/2 past. They don't always speak to me. I've got a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old, and 11-year-old. So my kids are at an age where, like I say, we're in this transformational period where they sometimes want to talk, sometimes they don't. But I
yeah,
will make sure that at 3 o'clock I'm logged off, or at least I'm present, so that if they have got things to say, they can talk to me. Because it was getting to like 1/2, I'd get like a second wind and I'd be in the flow. And then, one kid would come like, mum, 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 and that next one, and I'd be like getting really frustrated. But then I sat down and I reflected. Reflection's a massive thing. Right, I'm getting frustrated because the kids are coming in because I'm working, but I have the opportunity to choose when I work. So that
yeah,
if it gets to around 1/2, I'm like, right, I'm not going to start another thing. I'm not going to do another project, or I'm going to start winding down. So by the time they come in at 3, I'm available. And then I'm not frustrated. They're not having a mum that's just snappy because she's trying to do something, or give me one more minute, or do you know what I mean? And it works for everybody. Often by 3:15, they're upstairs on the tech or doing whatever they're doing, winding down from their own days.
like they do.
Yeah, so then I can kind of come back to what I'm doing if I need to. But that is like something that I have had to kind of struggle with and be a little bit frustrated by, to then make the change.
Yeah, and you can overcome it then, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you got any top tips for anyone that's feeling a bit out of sync and they do need to reconnect? Maybe any routines, or non-negotiables that you think are definitely worth knowing, as part of our lifestyle to help us with our mind, our body and our soul as a whole.
Yeah. I think I'm going to probably sound like people have already heard this, but prioritizing your sleep is massively essential. That will have, and I appreciate if you've got young children or SEN children, or a difficult lifestyle where you can't, like, might be a shift worker or something like that. But
Yeah,
sleep is so essential for not just rest and recovery, but like regeneration of cells. It's also really important for our patience levels, which you'll know if you've got a baby or something and you're just so exhausted. Have a nap. That doesn't have to be having 8 hours on a night time. If you know you're not going to get 8 hours, try and plan in somewhere else that if you feel tired, you can give yourself a nap without feeling guilty, because you need the sleep still. And even like a
mm,
20-minute nap, I call them a nana nap. If you can have up to 20 minutes, it can be like a proper power nap. If you go beyond 20 minutes, you often fall into like a deep REM sleep. So that's sometimes when you can wake up feeling a bit groggy. But if you can keep
yeah,
it between 10 and 20 minutes, you wake up feeling much more refreshed. So sleep is absolutely one of the big things. If you are a female, I would look at making sure you're taking enough magnesium, because that will aid your sleep. So supplements, obviously check with your doctor if you're not sure, but magnesium is really important. Vitamin D, when there's sunshine, get outside. Even if there's not sunshine, if you can get your face in light when you wake up in the morning, whether it's through the window, whether it's by standing in the garden, that helps reset your circadian rhythm to be able to sleep better the next night, and it really helps to boost your sleep. Other things would be, do something for yourself, whether it's just 5-10 minutes with a cup of tea, whether it's taking a short walk around the block, move your body. So I did this thing a few months back where I did like a lap of where my block is around here, and I've clocked roughly how many steps it were and how long it took me. And I got about 800 steps and it took me 6 minutes. I have got no excuse to not move my body for 6 minutes in a lap around the block and just get some steps in. If you're a business owner like us, where we're on our computers quite a lot, getting away from the screen, taking that little walk, it's nothing. You can boil the kettle, go out for the walk, come back, pour yourself a tea, and it's took you 10 minutes. It's things like that. These habits don't have to be big. I focus on very little habits. If you want to increase your movement, do 10 squats while the kettle boils.
It literally is that easy, isn't it?
Yeah, it
So
can be that easy, but it's only easy if you know how, and you don't know what
yeah.
you don't know until someone
And if you,
points it out.
and I think sometimes, like for me, I'm only just really still at the start of like my health journey, but I overwhelmed myself by thinking I had to do 10K steps like from today. And I had a conversation, like tapping into support, absolutely do. But I had a conversation about it with someone, and she was like, "Well, why are you trying to do this straight away then?
Yeah,
If you're doing," and it's probably going to sound lazy, like I am. I don't care anymore because I'm at a desk all the time. The only time I was walking was doing the school runs. So I was averaging about 4,000 or 5,000 steps a day. So I was like, to increase that straight away is not going to be easy.
no,
So I just started increasing by 1,000 a week. And
exactly.
this week I've mastered 8,000. And now I'm like, I'm so excited because in 2 weeks' time, I know I'm going to be at 10K. But I also am aware of the fact that now we're just, at the time of recording this, we're hitting summer holidays and that I won't have those school runs. So, like you said about the 6 minutes and the 800 steps, I've done the same thing this week and I've worked out that I can do 1,000 steps every 10 minutes. So I know how long I'm going to have to go for a walk because we've no school runs to
Yeah,
get my, when I get to 10K. So next week it'll be 9,000. So I know I'm going to have to walk for about, I think it'll be about 40 minutes to get to 9,000 steps. So I'm
yeah.
just thinking, right, how can I fit this into my day with my current busy schedule? Because it's not impossible, is it?
No,
Like you
it's
said
not, and
earlier,
it can be
planning and
small and
preparing.
gradual. Yeah, small and
Yeah,
like thing is as well with regards to like steps as the example you're using. Look at it as an average. There might be some days that you get slightly less. Yes, it would be brilliant if you could get 10 every single day. But if you look at it spread across the week, you want 70,000 steps by the end of the week, you know, eventually. Some days you might get 12, some days you might get 8. So on average, you're hitting 10,000
yeah,
steps and you're getting 70 across the week. And that I find when I've worked with clients, that is a massive relief for them because they know, you know, say they work in a school, they don't have the opportunity because then afterwards they've got activities with their children or whatever, but they know if they go for a decent walk on a weekend because they've got the time and they want to, on average they'll get their 70,000 steps for the week. And that can help shift the mindset as well from being, oh well, I didn't get 10 today so I've failed, and I, you know, it's like, right, I got 8 today, which means I need to make up 2,000 somewhere else, which is only an extra 500 steps a day, which is one time round the block. And if you can kind of break it down, it's not
yeah,
this kind of massive pressure to it have to be 10 every single day. It just has to be 70 across the week. You know, like if somebody's a hiker, they might go and get 20 on a weekend, but in the week they get so much little, you know, they might only get
yeah.
50,000 in the week, but if they get 20 on a weekend, they've hit their 70 still. They've still got to
Yeah,
the goal. It
and it's
doesn't
still
have
good
to
for
be
you. It's
exactly.
still also helpful. I love that. It definitely makes a difference. If people want to come and connect with you, where can they come and find you?
I'm predominantly on Facebook and Instagram. I've got pages on both. I'll send the links through for them to be put
They'll
like
be in
my
the show notes, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, just Bree Fox coaching is what you'll find me as. Because I kind of cover a lot of different things, it's quite hard to kind of pin it down to one. But yeah, on social
It's
media.
always good to use your name, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
it's
especially a name like mine that I swear it's not made up. Honestly, the amount of times I get asked if it's a fake name, and I'm like, no, it's genuinely my name.
really,
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
it's not short for anything. It's just Bree Fox.
I love it though because it's unique. Whereas mine is so common. Like there's loads of Smiths, there's no loads of Danny's, Daniels, Danielle. My old husband is a Daniel, and my middle name is 90s common, like common
Yeah,
90s
proper
name for a
90s
middle name.
baby.
Yeah,
And I don't have a
so
middle name. I don't have a middle name. It's just literally Bree Fox.
is it?
Yeah,
Wow. So like my son doesn't have a middle name, so he's just Archie Smith. It's like he's
yeah.
like, why did we not get one? I said, and I always joke, and this it's not a thing, but I would say we didn't give you one and gave your sister an extra one. And it's
I
not true. I
I'm really
just couldn't think
honest.
of one.
I really wanted a middle name growing up. Like I was, because everybody had a middle name growing up when
Yeah,
I,
everyone's
I
got
went,
one.
yeah, and I didn't. And I was, I really want a middle name, and I never had one. But all my kids have got a middle name.
Yeah, I think he would want one because he doesn't understand why he doesn't. And I'm just like, we just didn't fall in love with any other name than just Archie. So he was just Archie to us. So he
I gave
just,
my kids
yeah,
pretty unique names, but then my daughter, so my eldest son's called Axel, and it's
I
spelled
love that.
AXYL, so I spelled it a bit different as well.
Ah,
And then my second son's called Enzo, And then my daughter's called Imi, but everyone thinks it's short for Imogen because at the same time the name Imogen blew up, and I didn't realize it was like going to be like a really popular name. But she's just Imi, so she gets a bit like me. Is it short for anything? Like, is it Brianna?
No.
Is it Bryony? Is it Imogen? I'm like, no, just Imi, just Bree,
Yeah,
like just short names.
I
So
love that. So different. Mine have all got old names, Stephen, Archie, and Eliza. And Eliza was named after my great grandma, which was Elizabeth. But I didn't like Elizabeth. I didn't like Betty. We used to call Grandma Betty. So I said, how about the first bit of Elizabeth? And I came up with Eliza, and I
nice,
love it. But
yeah.
loads of people relate it to like Eliza Thornberry now.
Eliza
From
Thorne.
the what is it? It's that girl that talks to animals, but there's the Eliza Doolittle as well,
I
isn't
thought
there?
Eliza Minnelli. I don't know.
And there's that as well, yeah. Yeah, there's a few Elizas about, but it's not very common, and I do love it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Thank
nice.
you so much for joining us, Bree. I've
Thanks
just
for
got my
having me.
final question, which I ask all my guests, which I
Okay.
didn't pre-warn you about, actually.
No,
I
you
did
haven't. I'm
forget.
like, what's
I
this
love
going to
doing
be?
it on the spot, which is, what would be your best tip for being organised within your business?
Oh, have a schedule. Whatever that
Yes.
looks like, have a schedule, color coordinate it, find a system that works for you, whether it's paper, whether it's digitally, have a schedule and then stick to it as best you can. Something I do say is consistency plus flexibility equals sustainability. So
Oh,
your
love that.
consistency is whatever's consistent for you. You need to be flexible because things are going to happen because it's life, but that is what will help you create your sustainability. So that's my little equation that I try and talk about a little bit when I speak to people. Consistency, whatever yours looks like, plus flexibility to give for kids being poorly, rain, whatever, and then that will create your sustainable lifestyle.
I love that. What a great note to end on. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
Bree. Hi, I'm Dani Louise Smith, and I am the Queen of Business Organisation. I'm a business mentor and coach, and I specialise in helping you to ditch overwhelm by managing your business like a CEO pro. And I've got something that is going to literally save you time, help you be more productive, and earn more. This will change the way you do business. It's called the free Organise Business Toolkit. You're going to have to access this. It's going to be your best friend. Inside the toolkit, you'll get time management tools, business strategy resources, client management solutions, finance managed solutions, and my top 10 business resources that you can work your way through to help you with building your business. There is no opportunities missed with inside this toolkit. And not only that, I know how hard it is in the beginning where you're trying to navigate all of these different systems and tech and tools. So there is a short how-to video for each area guiding you through how to use these tools easily and efficiently. It's everything you need to save time, be more productive, and earn more money in your business without any of the stress, confusion, or overwhelm. And best of all, it's totally free. If it sounds like you need this toolkit, then head over to queenofbusinessorganisation.co.uk/toolkit, and you can download it and get instant access right away. See you on the inside.